Yeah, yeah. You should play a partner IQ, man. I'm back, man. About to take a look at this video created by Mr. Tyler Farrell. Why Youngboy is the king of YouTube. What do it say? The real truth. NBA Youngboy went from prison to the biggest YouTube artist ever. Youngboy just actually hold on. I'm gonna look it up right now. Cause Youngboy just actually, let me see. NBA Youngboy. He's got a certain amount of views on. Let me see. YouTube views. I think he passed 10. Oh, was it 10? Yeah. So this was March 22nd. NBA Youngboy passes 10 billion YouTube views, video views. Has been the platform's top ranked artist all year. So that's out of everybody, artists, period. That nigga is going crazy. He's the number one artist ever. He 22 now? Okay, I thought he still was 20. He 22. That nigga's still young. Young and rich. Shout out to him, man. So it says annually he generates 17 million from his YouTube alone every year. Damn. So let's look at this video. This came out like a year ago. Let's get into it, man. Shout out everybody here. Hit that like. Hit that tap into the comment section, man. Hit the notification, all that, man. Let's interact, my nigga.
Baton Rouge rapper NBA Youngboy has had a pretty dominating start to what is still a very young career. He's not even 21 yet, but the accolades and the recognition are already pouring in. NBA Youngboy was named by YouTube as the site's most streamed artist in the year 2019, but how? What's going on? It's yours truly, Mr.
Look, that shit I just read was from a week ago. And this was talking about him in 2019. Is that what he just said? This nigga Youngboy been on his shit. Bro, that's why niggas be like, man, how you work so hard, Q? You got niggas like this working, man. You gotta work, bro. This nigga's working. Not just Youngboy. It's other niggas like, hell no, bro. I ain't gonna let no nigga outwork me. You know what I'm saying? Nigga might have a bigger budget than me. Anything. I want anybody to remember that if you're trying to do music or do YouTube or whatever you're trying to do, play basketball, football, you got to be practicing, working. You have to be work, bro. Because while you bullshitting, it's somebody trying to, you know what I mean, achieve that shit. Always put that work in, bro.
Tyler Farrell, NBA Youngboy's success on YouTube has now been featured.
Oh, it's called featured. Shout out Tyler Farrell.
Though he's signed to Atlantic Records music label, he's not promoted as much as some of the label's other premier acts like Cardi B, Bruno Mars, or Ed Sheeran. He can't sell out stadiums like Beyonce, Taylor Swift, or Jennifer Lopez yet. He's not even necessarily associated with lyricism like some of the other top rappers in the game like a Drake, J. Cole, or Kendrick Lamar. He doesn't have the sweat equity, the years in the game, like some of the street rappers, his peers, like Gucci Mane, Kevin Gates, or Boosie Badass.
I got a dream to chase. I want to rap. I want to focus on school. I feel that all I need to do is know how to count and read.
At an early age,
this nigga funny as shit, bro. This nigga all you gotta know how to do is talk and read.
Kentrell Garden, or the artist you know as NBA Youngboy, was faced with different obstacles that shaped him to who he is today. Ever noticed the 3 deep scars on Garden's forehead? Well, it came from wearing a hollow brace as a toddler. At the age of 4, Kentrell broke his neck wrestling on the bed at his grandma's house.
Nigga slammed me, and when he slammed me, I fell off the bed though. And my chin was behind my shoulder. I couldn't move it. I walked to the front room. I'm screaming for my grandma. She like, sit down on the side of the bed. I sit down on the side of the bed. She trying to pull my shit and push it back.
Wow.
I'm like, no, don't touch it, don't touch it. And when the ambulance came.
Damn, that's motherfucking crazy, bro. 4 years old. Like, that's crazy as fuck, bro. Like, how rough was them niggas motherfucking wrestling? You know what I'm saying? For the nigga to goddamn break his neck, get slammed like that, that's goddamn.
After that, I know I had went to sleep because I don't remember nothing. But when I woke up, I remember I seen my mama, my grandma, and my sister, plus Shonda. I had this thing on my head with screws, and I'm like, what the hell is this? They're like, nothing. They're like, how you feel? I'm like, I'm good. They're like, stand up and see if you can walk. I stood up and I walked. They're like, all right.
As a child, it was already clear as day. Youngboy would have to find love elsewhere as his parents consistently let him down. Kentrell would go on.
We're all.
Damn. Got a preview. But yeah, this nigga Youngboy been hustling, bro. He's a hard worker, bro. Shout out.
Takes a picture.
Oh, it's another one. I like the way this is starting already. Let's see.
And everyone
Go on to admit later on in his music career on a song called Life off of Mind of a Menace 3 that it tore him up that his mom would always put a man before him. And it also tore him up that his dad lied to him about coming to see him. He said they just see how I'm living, they don't know how I be feeling. At the age of 8, Kentrell watched his father get sentenced to 55 years in prison after a robbery went wrong.
I talk to my daddy every day. He just be wanting money and shit though. But I'll be on some shit like, I don't know. I still call him daddy though to make him feel like somebody. But I ain't seen that dude since I was 4 years old. So I sent him money just to, you know, feel like he got somebody there, because I know how it is when you're in jail.
Right.
I barely know him though.
His mom would end up moving away out of the neighborhood.
Cause my mama, she all about a nigga, and I'ma say it still. She all about a nigga. She used to put me before niggas. She'll put me out and shit. So I always stay with my grandma. Like my grandma took care of me. My grandma gave me anything I want.
So you was kind of spoiled by your grandma, you would say.
Yeah, my grandma made me feel love. And when she died, I ain't never felt that feeling again. Only time I ever feel love is when I walk on stage.
Kentrell would continue living life. He would regroup and continue his childhood mostly living with his grandparents, who he really
holding up his middle finger. Niggas, man.
Credits for his upbringing. Kentrell even went as far as to say he believes his grandmother is the only person on this earth who's truly loved him. On that same life record, Garden would admit how much he missed his grandma. How she would make ways out of no ways to get them something to eat. And how even when he got in trouble and suspended from school, Garden's grandmother would stop his grandfather from putting his hands on him. But things fell apart after Garden's grandma passed away from heart failure. Specifically, the trouble started. Kentrell would end up dropping out of school after the 8th grade. He said, I wanted to be a rapper, and I couldn't focus and do that. I didn't even have the clothes for that shit. I really felt like I wasn't smart enough, so what the fuck am I there for? Kentrell ended up moving in with his friend OG33. The two began chasing a rap dream. With little money, they began to steal in efforts to get money for studio time. At one point, the two would even steal car batteries out of 18-wheelers just to make a few dollars. The crimes finally caught up with Garden. He got locked up at 14 for robbery, serving around 6 months in a juvenile detention-like center in Louisiana. While Kentrell was in juvenile, he began to write, and write, and write. Sooner or later, the teen had 25 songs written a cappella style inside the detention center. As he grew more comfortable with the music, he then needed a stage name.
Hey, if you reach my chain, then you know we slinging. I ain't about that Northside landlord, I ain't playing about that. NBA be my game, bitch, I stand on that. Real diamonds on my neck with the bands on that. Bitch, nigga, call my phone, I don't never call back. Call 3 years, tell them niggas I don't want to chat. In the studio is shade, in the studio is strange. On the grind every day, I've been chasing that sack. Real 38, babe, I'm from call the track. You can keep your little money, I don't want to do no track. 1 million views and rush star in a day. You think that I'm slipping, I'm keeping me in the strap. You heard me? Yeah. I can't clutch on no glizzy bin, keep him a strap.
His cousin Meech would end up giving him the nickname of NBA Youngboy, signifying that they never wanted to be broke again. because of the potential conflict and legalities with the National Basketball Association, his rap name was officially changed to Youngboy Never Broke Again. Despite the name change, he still acknowledges that his fans will forever call him NBA Youngboy. Youngboy continued to drop tape after tape after tape as his name began to grow buzz. Started off in the hoods. It moved from a couple hoods to all over the Louisiana region. His music ended up reaching one of the biggest rappers out of Louisiana at the time, Kevin Gates. Youngboy said it wasn't just fans and his rap peers finding out about his music at the time. Youngboy's name and his viewership started to make its way around the industry. In 2016, he caught the attention of Eli Picaretta, who just so happens to be the vice president of music over at Atlantic Records. You want to know how Picaretta found Youngboy? YouTube. Youngboy ended up signing a 5-album, $2 million partnership deal with Atlantic Records in October of 2016. Eli compared Youngboy to a movie star for the kids.
Oh my God.
They want to know what he's feeling at that exact moment. And that want and need to know what's going on into Youngboy's life has translated into a lot of success on YouTube. Just to put in perspective, since Youngboy has signed with Atlantic Records, Youngboy has had 11 music videos that each racked up more than 100 million views on YouTube. To put it into perspective even more how dominant NBA Youngboy has been on YouTube, I started working on this story a little less than a month ago. Since then, since I started working on this video, Youngboy has had uploads reach 29 million views. He had one reach 17 million views, another one reached 10 million views, and one's at 8.5 million views. That's just since I started working on this story. With over 7 million subscribers, Youngboy has led YouTube's music chart already 9 out of the 12 possible weeks in 2020. He's well on his way to again being YouTube's top streaming artist for the year. The only weeks Youngboy hasn't led the charts on YouTube this year is when Eminem dropped his album Music to Be Murdered By, and the 2 following weeks after that in which Roddy Ricch led the charts, and which Youngboy finished right behind him though in second. It's worth noting that Roddy Ricch has had the #1 overall song of 2020 thus far in The Box. Youngboy still somehow, someway manages to dominate the YouTube charts despite not having a single nowhere near as successful or promoted as Roddy Ricch's The Box. To me, the most interesting component in Youngboy's YouTube dominance is that it hasn't necessarily translated over on other streaming platforms. Don't get me wrong, Youngboy's doing numbers everywhere, but he doesn't lead the pack on other streaming platforms like he does YouTube. For example, on Spotify last year, which is the biggest audio streaming service by subscribers globally, Youngboy didn't even rank among the top 5 stream artists of the year. Those spots were held by Post Malone, Drake, Billie Eilish, Ariana Grande, and Khalid. This means Youngboy has a specific connection with YouTube. Well, if we're gonna talk about it, let's be real about this thing in totality. Part of the reason why Youngboy is dominating the YouTube charts is because YouTube offers a free service. Spotify,
you see that? Yeah, YouTube is free. Yep, and Spotify they charge.
has a free service as well, but even their free service requires users to sign up for an account. Some listeners look at that as a hassle, which makes them revert back to the less complex platform, YouTube. Everyone can get on YouTube, type in what they want to listen to, and just like that, with no account, you're listening to your favorite song. To put in perspective though, Spotify is the biggest audio streaming service by subscribers. It fails in comparison to YouTube with just active users. According to the Wall Street Journal, Spotify has 271 million monthly active users, while YouTube has over 2 billion active monthly logged-in users. Obviously, also when you hear the word free, a platform like YouTube's gonna attract lower income households and also kids who don't have credit cards yet. And what do kids want? They want more. And Youngboy is doing just that, releasing music at an overall frenetic pace.
Yo, and I was about to say that, yo, That nigga's consistent as fuck, bro. And this is old. This is a couple years old. But that nigga's just, prolific. That's what Nipsey was talking about when he's like, I'm so gifted. Prolific is an abundance. You just put out a lot. You do a lot of work. It's a lot, you know what I mean? That's the secret, bro, and being consistent.
I've noticed that Youngboy has picked up a couple of signatures in regards to YouTube as well over the last couple of years. Usually, when Youngboy releases music, he's not just giving you the audio. No. He's usually giving you a visual to go along with his new record. And the only time Youngboy doesn't give you a visual is likely with him dropping an entire body of work. Youngboy has adopted this style of dropping his entire album on YouTube, not really caring about other streaming platform success like Spotify, Apple Music, and others. His focus has been on getting that YouTube viewership up, even if it means costing himself money by giving away the music essentially for free. According to Youngboy's label, a lot of the times it's not his team actually pushing the upload button for his YouTube viewership. It's actually him. Be clear, Youngboy gets it. He understands that YouTube is his bread and butter. If you think about it, it's essentially been the only way he's been able to talk to his fans and visually show himself to his fans over the last couple of years.
Tonight, we are getting word that Atlanta police arrested another rapper here. It was NBA Youngboy. His real name is Kentrell Gauden.
Rapper NBA Youngboy has been arrested in Louisiana.
NBA Youngboy was arrested Saturday night in Tallahassee, Florida.
Rapper NBA Youngboy and a female companion are in the Atlanta City jail tonight.
NBA Youngboy is just one of those talents that you want to see do great things because he's that talented. But it's like everybody wants to see him do great, but him and the people around him. Though with all the notoriety Youngboy's had, it's come with a lot of trouble over the last few years as well. He's been arrested in connection with a drive-by shooting. He's been arrested for kidnapping, probation violations. You name it, Youngboy has had to deal with it. But somehow, someway, in 2020, Youngboy finds himself a free man. So Youngboy is the unique artist that has kind of benefited from the
Since then, that nigga done got locked back up. He out now though, but that nigga went through some shit.
Amount of trouble that he's been in over the last few years. Because he's been in so much trouble, he's been unable to travel. Because he hasn't been able to travel, he has been unable to do interviews, concerts, meet and greets, the typical young artist stuff. So if you really think about it, Youngboy has this huge fan base that really, relatively speaking, only knows him through the music.
Yeah, man, that nigga put in that motherfucking work, man. Youngboy, that's all you gotta do is put the work in, bro.
Oh my God. She really waited out here for you all day. My baby been out here all day for you.
Imagine being a fan of NBA Youngboys over the last couple of years since he popped off, especially being a kid fan of Youngboys, right? This dude really hasn't given you the opportunity to see him at a show. Imagine a guy being a big staple in your life. You listen to him 5 or 6 times a day, maybe even more than that. And you really, relatively speaking, haven't been able to get to know the person Kentrell. Because he's had so many legal issues over the last few years, judges have really kept him off of social media, actually banned him at one point in time from using Instagram. So you haven't been able to get to know Kentrell with his post on social media, with his Instagram lives. You ain't been able to have that relationship with Kentrell. I look at it kind of like being a kid in a long distance relationship, but you in love. So you take whatever you can get from that person. Any little text, any little phone call you can get, but it ain't much. Like, I look at it as like Youngboy hasn't had FaceTime for the last couple of years with his fan base. The only phone call Youngboy has been able to make has been through YouTube. Youngboy has many people in the music business questioning some of their older ideologies. If you really think about it, Youngboy in a lot of ways has kind of wrecked the quote-unquote music business. Usually acts that are popular on Spotify and Apple Music have really big national profiles. If you think about it, if you're really big on Apple Music and Spotify, more times than not, you're a superstar. But if you look at the numbers, Youngboy is somehow, some way growing at the pace of a quote-unquote pop star in 2020, and he's doing it mainly through YouTube. Artists who are just big on YouTube usually generate smaller royalties for record labels, and they often have comparatively younger audiences, and most of the time it's a niche audience. Youngboy, though, he's probably making a lot of money off of his royalties because he's doing so many millions upon millions of views every month off YouTube. But you gotta believe, though, at some point Atlantic, his label, is gonna want more from him. They're gonna want him to be a cash cow because they see the numbers like you and me. Meaning they're gonna want him to test his fan base by selling tour tickets and merchandise more than what they're doing right now. One thing that will help Youngboy going forward is at the top of the year, Billboard announced that they will now incorporate YouTube views in its flagship album chart ranking, but obviously it will take a lot more views to equal the sales that one can get from platforms like Apple, Spotify, and Tidal, since we're comparing a platform that's most known for their free subscribers versus platforms who make the bulk of their money off of paid subscription. What I don't want to do is undermine the success that NBA Youngboy is having everywhere. He's just really dominating YouTube. Be clear, on platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and Tidal, Youngboy holds his own. He does really good numbers there. Again, he's just dominating YouTube to unimaginable heights. Last year, for the first time, NBA Youngboy charted his first #1 album with Al Youngboy 2 on the Billboard Top 200.
This nigga said Al. It's AI. This nigga said Al. Like Al. This nigga said Al.
List. He also had a top 10 record for the first time with the late Juice WRLD back in October. And this year, Youngboy is off to another great start. His album, Still Flexin', Still Reppin', got as high as #2 overall on Billboard's Top 200 chart, and it was the #1 rap album in the country earlier this winter. Obviously, these numbers just don't come out of thin air. He's doing something right with his fan base. From my vantage point, I believe as an artist, Youngboy continues to grow because he continues to open that curtain inside of his life. Vulnerability has been NBA Youngboy's best trait as a musician so far in his career. Songs like Can't Be Saved that Youngboy put out a couple of years ago just let you know how vulnerable this brother is. In one verse, not only did he show us the range he has as an artist, but he also showed us how open an artist he can be, and he also showed us how crazy his lifestyle can get sometimes, speaking on past relationships, problems with his biological mother, and even admitting to the world that he has herpes. It's one thing to get on a record and talk about the cars, the jewelry, the amount of women you can get, but it's another thing to open that curtain and talk about things that many artists are afraid to talk about. I've never known an artist to admit that they have herpes or any other disease in a rap record. When you decide to open up about things that are not so great, it makes everything else you say that much more believable. That's why NBA Youngboy is winning as an artist, and that's why YouTube has been his home. And I believe it will continue to be his home. If you are an NBA Youngboy fan, what I need you to do right now.
Yeah, man, that's no cap, bro. Bro, pretty much nailed that shit right on the head, bro. My nigga just, he hustling, bro. Vulnerable, all that. Youngboy put that work in. Anybody could do that. So if Youngboy could do it, you could do it. If I could do it, you could do it. You know what I'm saying? Just work, put that work in, stay consistent. That's it. Fuck with y'all later, man. Yeah.